The Terror of Mr. Buu, is the third episode of the Majin Buu saga and the 234th overall episode in the original dubbed and the uncut Dragon Ball Z series. The episode first aired on July 27, 1994. Its original American air date was November 7, 2001. In the original English version broadcast, the title was The Terror of Majin Buu. After being thumped to the ground by Majin Buu's ridiculous power, Supreme Kai emerges from the rubble bruised and bloodied. Buu notices his victim is still alive, and he cheers at the second chance of pounding the Supreme Kai. Buu bounces back to the ground and giggles, letting out a large grin of pleasure. From afar, Babidi barks more orders at Buu, demanding Buu to finish his opponents. Buu takes note, and he prepares to eliminate the Supreme Kai, while whistling a tune. Supreme Kai lifts himself in agony, and uses an invisible eye blast to hit Buu directly in the face. The only effect of the attack is Buu's head slightly moving backwards, as the attack leaves Buu with no fatigue or signs of injury. Buu mockingly uses his own version of Supreme Kai's attack, to blast him many feet away, with Buu flying after him, still gleeful. As Supreme Kai comes to a halt, Buu performs somersaults in the air, and drops himself onto Supreme Kai's back, making the Supreme Kai scream out in pain. Babidi rushes to their location, and proceeds to mock Supreme Kai for the position he is in, making fun of the Supreme Kai's unfortunate position he is in. Babidi decides to end things, and orders Buu to execute the Supreme Kai to serve justice. Just before Buu or Babidi can deal the final blow, Gohan manages to kick Buu in the cheek with all of his remaining force. As Buu flies, he recovers himself, and proceeds to heal the dent in his face. Babidi growls in frustration at the delay of Supreme Kai's death. Gohan looks onto Buu in fear, noticing the attack did not leave any marks, and his ki has not decreased. Buu begins to be bored of Gohan and exclaims he will now die. Gohan becomes stunned for a brief second, but turns to anger immediately after, preparing to punch Buu. Buu extends his hands, and unleashes a large sphere of energy, catching Gohan off guard. The attack hits Gohan, and launches him into the sky, before eventually flying off too far to be visible to a naked eye. Babidi exclaims he cannot see Gohan anymore, and hopes Gohan flies off the face of the planet. Noticing Gohan flying off into the distance, Supreme Kai uses the last of his energy to make Buu's attack explode in mid-air, stopping Gohan from going any further. Gohan manages to land in a forest, but is unconscious and near death. Thinking Gohan is dead, Babidi tells Buu to finally finish off the Supreme Kai and end the conflict once and for all. Buu prepares to hit Supreme Kai with a finishing move, but from the rubble, Dabura returns, bleeding and broken, and throws his spear through Buu's gut. Babidi gasps in surprise, truly believing Dabura to be dead after Buu struck him. Dabura breathes in pain, while Babidi growls at Dabura for daring to attack his father's creation. Off in the distance, Goten and Trunks have now reached the location of the large key, and have been watching the battle, confused and amazed. Trunks and Goten notice Supreme Kai, who they had seen at the World Martial Arts Tournament a few hours earlier, and they wonder what the situation unfolding in front of them is about. Before they can get an answer, Trunks notices something odd in the distance. Trunks and Goten rush to check it out, and they notice Piccolo, still a stone statue due to Dabura's stone spit, along with a statue Krillin. Both wonder what these statues are doing in the wastelands, and Trunks tries to touch the Piccolo statue, but forgets to conceal his strength, and with the force of his hand, knocks over the statue, breaking it into many small pieces. Trunks desperately panics, and in absolute dire, attempts to fix the statue to no avail. Before he can do any more, Goten tells Trunks to hide quickly, as the people below them may notice them messing around. Goten and Trunks duck behind large rocks and watch the situation continue to unfold. Dabura informs Babidi that although his creation is indeed a marvel of strength and the ultimate creation in history, is it not to be taken lightly, and it will eventually betray Babidi despite how it is treated. Babidi ignores Dabura's warnings, and scolds him for daring to attack Buu to begin with. Buu grabs the front end of the spear with no concern, and simply pulls it out of his stomach, like it was nothing. Dabura looks in horror at Buu's healing abilities and near immortality, while Buu heals the hole in his stomach and turns to Dabura with an unfriendly smile, exclaiming that Dabura shall be eaten. As Dabura watches Buu make his threats, Goten and Trunks still watch in awe, and Babidi continues to grin at all of Buu's surprises. Mealtime, Tabechau zo. Harapeko Majin no Chōnōryoku is the 4th episode of the Majin Buu saga and the 235th overall episode in the original dubbed and the uncut Dragon Ball Z series. The episode first aired on August 3rd, 1994. Its original American air date was November 8th, 2001. Having knocked Goku unconscious, Majin Vegeta plans a strategy for attacking Majin Buu. He senses that Gohan has been killed and feels genuinely remorseful. He also appears to have remorse for what he has done to Goku, which is emotional, but rare, as Vegeta is usually cold-hearted and ruthless, even more so in his Majin state. On the battlefield, Majin Buu continuously taunts Dabura by saying that he will eat him, provoking the angry Dabura into attacking. Majin Buu's rubbery consistency makes him resilient to Dabura's assault. Trunks and Goten look on from a cliff as Dabura unleashes a volley of energy blasts at Buu. However, Buu proves as resistant to that as Dabura's physical attacks. In desperation, Dabura tries to turn Buu to stone with his spit. Buu dodges and turns him into a huge cookie with his chocolate beam, eating him afterwards. Everyone that was turned to stone by Dabura's spit returns to normal, as Dabura was needed to be alive for his spell to stay effective. Trunks realizes that Piccolo would have turned normal as well, and flies up to investigate, while Goten casually tells Krillin that Trunks tipped over Piccolo's statue and broke it. Trunks is horrified that Piccolo's body is in pieces, and tells Goten and Krillin to keep it a secret. Piccolo suddenly appears and explains his regenerative abilities, but is unnerved by Majin Buu's energy. He becomes all the more upset that Babidi gives Buu permission to eat the injured Supreme Kai. Buu contemplates on what to turn the Supreme Kai into, chocolate or jelly, but is interrupted by the destruction of Babidi's spaceship. Babidi is distraught that his spaceship was destroyed and orders Buu to investigate. However, Majin Vegeta makes himself present through the smoke. He admits that he blew up Babidi's ship and ignores the wizard's angry tirade, instead accusing Buu of killing Gohan, which shocks Piccolo, and Trunks asks Piccolo of what did Vegeta had said, and Piccolo refuses to answer as he becomes horrified of Gohan's death. Majin Buu becomes angry at being called ugly by Majin Vegeta and is ordered by Babidi to kill him for being disobedient. Majin Vegeta briefly catches a glimpse of Goku in Buu's place. He briefly reminisces about Goku's nobility and every major threat to Earth. He gives up the grudge he holds against Goku and promises him that he will save the planet, even if he dies. Majin Vegeta powers up immensely with Krillin, Piccolo, Trunks and Goten looking on at his impressive might. Majin Buu does not appear to be phased, even as Majin Vegeta begins to attack him brutally. Babidi is worried that Buu may not be a match for Majin Vegeta's power. The episode ends with Majin Vegeta charging to attack Buu once again. The Warrior's Decision is the 5th episode of the Majin Buu saga and the 236th overall episode in the original dubbed and the uncut Dragon Ball Z series. The episode first aired on August 17th, 1994. Its original American air date was November 12th, 2001. Vegeta begins his brutal assault on Majin Buu, the creation of Babidi's father, the wizard Babidi. Starting with the full force of his fists, Vegeta begins to swiftly and quickly attack Buu with all his might at lightning speeds, not letting Buu take a break from the barrage of punches and kicks. Vegeta continues his attack without mercy or hesitation, as Babidi looks upon the battle in confusion over Buu's sudden submission to Vegeta, wondering if Buu has a surprise on his hands, or if Vegeta truly is stronger than his servant of destruction. From a distance, Krillin, Piccolo, Goten and Trunks watch the two clash, with Krillin admiring Vegeta's stamina and force. As Trunks cheers for his father, Piccolo measures Vegeta's newfound powers, and determines that Vegeta has now surpassed Cell and even Gohan, when he fought Cell as a Super Saiyan 2. However, even with this knowledge, Piccolo does not change his opinion over who the victor will be, as from previous conversations heard overhead, Piccolo believes both Gohan and the Supreme Kai to be dead, so Vegeta will not stand much higher of a chance. Majin Buu finally manages to escape Vegeta's barrage, and lets himself heal the dents in his body in one split second. Vegeta extends his right hand and 2 fingers, and prepares a new energy attack. As Majin Buu begins to wonder what this sudden gesture means, a beam of small light fires from Vegeta's fingers, and pierces Buu through the stomach at light speed, making a large hole in his belly, and making Buu fly backwards. As Buu begins to tumble, he lays still on the floor and smoke rises from his gaping wound. Vegeta believes this to be a success, and looks towards his son in with a smile and pride, as Trunks cheers for this father once more. However, noticing from afar, Buu begins to raise himself up, still with his gigantic wound. As Buu stands upright, he extends his stomach and heals the wound with a quick pop. As Vegeta looks on in frustration and confusion, Buu informs Vegeta that his attack hurt him for the first time, even if it was just a little. As Buu's temper begins to boil, he covers his chest and a pink circle of energy emits from his body. Cheering for his servant, Babidi orders Buu to finish Vegeta quickly without much more delay. However, Buu ignores his master's command, and continues to build up his large circular wave. The grounds begin to shake, and tumble under Buu's gargantuan power. As Vegeta and his friends look on in woe, Buu lets out a high scream, saying he will hurt Vegeta. Buu lets off the wave as an enormous explosion, engulfing the wastelands around him. Piccolo orders everyone nearby him to try and outrun the attack, while Babidi panics and creates for himself a magic barrier, as he would not be able to escape the blast. As the attack continues, entire rock formations collapse under the intense power and pressure, and everyone on the battlefield is knocked back by Buu's might. The attack then begins to die, and after all the smoke clears the battlefield, there is a gigantic crater covering much of the wasteland. Buu hovers in the middle of the crater. Babidi besides him cleans his sweat and orders Buu not to perform a procedure like that again unless absolutely required. Piccolo tends to his friends, who all survived the blast, and he begins to worry about the Supreme Kai who he believes was caught in the blast. Trunks begins to worry about his father, and shouts for his father to answer him. Vegeta did manage to survive the blast, but with a broken left arm with blood pouring from his wounds. As Vegeta stands himself up, he looks towards Buu with a fearful laugh, wondering if there is anything else which might put an end to the violent monster. With very little time to think of any options, he still manages to dodge Buu's attacks, until Majin Buu uses his own body to trap Majin Vegeta. At this point, Trunks races to his father's rescue. Final Atonement is the 6th episode of the Majin Buu saga and the 237th overall episode in the original dubbed and the uncut Dragon Ball Z series. The episode first aired on August 24, 1994. Its original American air date was November 13, 2001. Angered to see his father tortured by Majin Buu, Trunks rushes to his father's aid with the help of Gotenk, despite Piccolo's attempts to stop them. Trunks kicks Majin Buu away, and he and Goten free Vegeta from Buu's binds. Trunks is scared and angry to see his father badly beaten. Goten wonders if he will die, but Trunks yells at him and says his father would never die. Trunks then tells Goten that his father is the Saiyan Prince. Vegeta wakes up and is angry that he was beaten by Majin Buu. Babidi mocks Vegeta for being defeated, and that it will not be long before he dies. Piccolo appears behind him and says that it will be Babidi who will die, and slices him in half, despite Babidi's best attempt to protect himself. For the sake of his family and other loved ones, Vegeta chooses to sacrifice himself, using the final explosion, in order to kill Majin Buu. He tells Trunks to take care of his mother, and orders him and Goten to leave right now. Trunks and Goten try to convince him to let them help him, but Vegeta tells them that Majin Buu is too strong for them. The boys persist to let them help him fight the creature. In a moment of silence, Vegeta tells Trunks that he has never held him since he was a baby, and for the first time, hugs Trunks. Trunks is surprised and embarrassed, and Goten watches the moment. Vegeta tells Trunks that he has made him proud, before knocking both him and Goten unconscious. When Piccolo arrives, and Vegeta asks him to take the boys to safety, and Piccolo warns Vegeta that he is going to die. Vegeta asks him if he will meet Goku in other world. Piccolo tells him that it is impossible, as Vegeta has spent most of his life caring for no one but himself, and has caused too much pain. Regardless of this, Vegeta decides to accept his fate. Before his death, Majin Vegeta declares that he does this not only for his family, but for Goku as well. Majin Vegeta unleashes his full power, killing himself, and vanishing in an aura of light. Buu is blown to bits.
Trivia number 1. When Babidi is defeated by Piccolo, he's chopped horizontally in half with his arm cut off. This is the second time this happens to a villain, the first being Frieza by his own energy disc. Number 2. Piccolo predicts that Vegeta will not be able to keep his body after death because he spent his life on selfish pursuits. However, many villains who also pursued selfish goals, such as Frieza, Cell, and Dr. Gero, were all seen with bodies after their deaths in the anime. It should be noted, however, that Vegeta should know what death was like, as he remembered the check-in station earlier in the series. Number 3. This episode happens to be 202 episodes after Krillin reluctantly spared Vegeta's life. In this episode, Krillin is the first to react to Vegeta's death. Number 4. As stated by Piccolo at the end of the episode, this is the first time Vegeta has fought for someone other than himself and truly shown his love for his family. However, when Cell killed future Trunks and Vegeta then became extremely angry in a previous episode, Cell returns. Piccolo's statement is actually false. Number 5. This episode is incorrectly labeled as episode 206 in the 2009 Funimation release of season 8. Number 6. Vegeta knocking Goten and Trunks unconscious to sacrifice himself to destroy Buu is similar to what he did to Goku in The Losses Begin.